Local and live. Covering Franklin and Washington counties, it's Let's Talk TriState.
Good morning, and Dan DeDona here with the Local News 1 weekly report for Hagerstown, Chambersburg, Smithsburg, Fairfield, Waynesboro, and all the communities that make up our local reporting area. I'm going to start off today, as we usually do, with 5 things to do this weekend. We have a continuation from last week. Last week there was a lot of activity because of Easter. Well, it hasn't slacked up one bit. We put out 75 stories this past week. We're going to start off with 5 things to do this weekend, the 10th of April edition. There will be a 3-day grand opening of the Mason-Dixon Flea Market in Greencastle at 12876 Molly Pitcher Highway. That'll be running from Friday through Sunday, April 10th through the 12th, starting at 7 a.m. each day. Vendors of all kinds are invited to set up for $20 a fee, and there are free spots for kids if you have Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts or something like that you'd like to get involved with. Attendees can enjoy food, music, drawings, and plenty of space to relax at picnic tables as part of this new local markets kickoff weekend. That's number 1. Number 2, history is going to meet happy hour at the Miller House Museum as the Washington County Historical Society hosts culture and cocktails, Merry Mish, and the restoration of the Hagerstown. This is going to be an event that's exploring one woman's role, Merry Mish, in saving the local landmark. This will take place today, Friday, the 10th of April, from 6 until 8 p.m. this evening. Recreation Assistant Kay Osmer will discuss the 1950s restorations efforts, and during the March Maryland Archaeology Month. Guests can view rare photos, learn about the house's original architecture and archaeological digs, and enjoy refreshments and a signature Merry Mish cocktail. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. at 135 West Washington Street in Hagerstown. Tickets are $34, and they include one of those special drinks. So try that out. In downtown Hagerstown, restaurants are going to be teaming up for the annual Taste of Downtown, a happy hour style culinary tour featuring light bites from local eateries in the downtown area. That'll be running from 4 until 7 p.m. on Saturday, the 11th. Food lovers can explore small plates and appetizers across a wide range of cuisines, Puerto Rican to West African to classic American favorites. Different restaurants who will be participating are the Broad Axe, Messy Jessie's at Hub City Brewery, Motherland Kitchen, Next Chapter Cafe, Bookshop, Sofrito Puerto Rican Cuisine, and Viva's on Potomac. Tickets are $10. They are available at mainstreethagerstown.org. Taste of Downtown. Try that out. Number 4 on the list, the Waynesboro Concert Association's 88th season is going to be celebrating a touch of class, which brings old world romance to timeless melody when Annalisa and John take the stage Sunday, April 12th, from 3 until 6 p.m. That'll be at the Waynesboro High School Auditorium at 550 East 2nd Street. The duo is known for their soulful performances and deep connection to Italian musical traditions. Concert highlights how Italian-style music has woven its influence throughout decades. Last of the 5 items for this to do this weekend on the list is Grace Gardens in Chambersburg. We'll be celebrating the venue's 3rd annual Garden Tea Party, a joyful celebration of blooms and brunch set for Sunday, April 12th from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. The event invites children ages 12 and under, along with their families, to enjoy a whimsical brunch featuring mini pancake stacks, pastel decor, and fresh florals in the newly completed courtyard. You can take part in a scavenger hunt, a bubble dance party with surprise ending, and there are also optional add-ons that you can get. Tickets are $38 per person, with advanced purchase required through gracegardens.com. And we're going to add 3 additional items because they're taking place either this weekend or this coming week, and you might miss them if you don't look for them. At Buttonwood Nature Center, they will be hosting their 30th annual Kite Fly on Saturday, April 11th, from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. in the field across from Hooverville Elementary School in Waynesboro. It's on the, for those of you who aren't familiar, that's on the eastern end of Route 16 on the out of Waynesboro. This will take place in celebration of National Kite Month. The event is free and open to the public. You can bring your own kite, or you can build one at an on-site workshop. Next up, this will be number 7. Penn State Extension Master Gardeners will host a hands-on tree planting workshop on Saturday, April 12th from 9 until 11 a.m. That'll be at the Ag Heritage Building in Chambersburg. The event includes classroom instruction and a live demonstration on proper planting techniques. You'll learn how to select, situate, and care for young trees to ensure healthy growth. Registered attendees are going to receive a free potted tree seedling to take home at the conclusion of the workshop. Registration is $15, and the program aims to encourage residents to enhance their landscapes while contributing to local environmental health. Space is limited, so pre-registration is required. And finally, again, Buttonwood Nature Center is partnering with Antietam Watershed and presenting Getting to Know PFAS and Forever Chemicals. It's a bit of a cautionary tale. It's going to take place this coming Thursday, April 16th at 7 p.m. at the Church of the Apostles in Waynesboro. Admission is free. There'll be 2 guest speakers, and they are going to talk about polyfluoroalkyl substances, a group of nearly 15,000 man-made quote-unquote forever chemicals, which have been found in 99% of Americans from newborns to adults, detectable levels in your blood. So this is an interesting topic for health purposes, and if you have an opportunity, you want to learn more about these, show up down there at the Church of the Apostles on next Thursday. All right. We're going to return briefly to, as we move into the news from this past week, we're going to return briefly to the 250th anniversary for America in Waynesboro. Summer Jubilee, which takes place every 4th of July, is preparing for their annual event. That's a very busy day in Waynesboro. Among other things, early on, they start off with a 5K run, and there's a parade, there's music, food, vendors of all kinds, and then, of course, at night, once it starts getting dark, there are fireworks, big fireworks usually, huge fireworks. Now, one of the things that most folks don't know about those fireworks is that the borough of Waynesboro does not pay for any of that. This is not a government-sponsored kind of an activity. It is exclusively sponsored by sponsors and contributors. So among the things that the committee is looking for right now, one lady in particular, Holly Miller, who works with Middletown Valley Bank in Waynesboro, they are looking for donations to make it easier to pull together all the funds that they need to put on an absolutely magnificent fireworks show like they do every year. So if you have a moment, contact Holly at Middletown Valley Bank in Waynesboro. Other things. Next up, Hagerstown Airport Terminal is going to have an expansion. There was a groundbreaking this past week on the 7th for a $5.1 million project that is paving the way for economic growth in the Hagerstown area. They took quite a bit of time in both in presentations and in handout material at the actual event to point out that the airport has about $190 million worth of economic activity associated with it, both directly and indirectly, and including the taxes that it helps to generate, which helps to pay for so many services throughout the area. So that should be very good. That expansion is going to take place on the eastern end of the existing terminal building, and kind of underlying all this is the hope. Hopefully, this is more firm than just a hope, but there is the hope that this will entice more airlines with more different destinations to fly in and out of Hagerstown. Next up, Hagerstown staff, Hagerstown City Council staff, presented a draft 2027 budget this past week. The good news about that is that there's no new taxes. The bad news is they're $10 million short. The kind of okay news is they've got about a year to figure that out. It's going to take a hard look to fill that kind of a gap. The Hagerstown Council is also reviewing water rates. This was an interesting story in the sense, I guess I wasn't really aware of this, but apparently an older model of how one goes about charging for water is you charge residents on the basis of how much you use. So you use more water, you expect your bill to go up. For commercial purposes, they pay less as their volume increases. I'm not sure exactly how the equation is set up. I know on the surface that sounds bad. It wouldn't be so bad if they give them a little bit of a discount while they're spending more and more money on water, or whether they're just simply spending less as they purchase more. That doesn't seem to make much sense. But probably the former case. At any rate, they got their work cut out for them. Also in the Hagerstown vicinity in Washington County, ICE protesters are continuing to assert that work is continuing on the processing center that the Department of Homeland Security announced that it was going to be building just outside of Hagerstown, between Hagerstown and Williamsport. Their current contention is that they are continuing construction activity, even though there's a court order to stop work. The Hagerstown Rapid Response Organization is continuing to protest at basically at the county offices, which is slightly peculiar because the county has mentioned on more than one occasion that they've got nothing to do with what ICE and the Department of Homeland Security are doing at this warehouse. It's out of their jurisdiction. But the Rapid Response folks seem to think that's a good location to get on camera. So you can expect to see more people there over time. In Cascade, Maryland, this is an older story that continues. Residents who are opposing construction of a Dollar General near the Fort Ritchie entrance are taking this issue to the Washington County Planning Commission, and they did that on the 6th of April. They are proposing an amendment that would block any retail establishment from being created within 1,000 feet of historical sites, to include the entrance to Fort Ritchie. So we'll see how that turns out. More to follow on that. The Franklin County Commissioners are having a hearing on the 28th of April at 6 p.m. in Chambersburg concerning regulations for data centers. Now, if you recall, most zoning if there is zoning in a township or in a borough at all, it all takes place at the township or borough level. That's not one of the responsibilities of counties. In Franklin County, though, has noted that, especially for those townships that do not have zoning regulations, it would probably be useful if their elected officials had guidelines that they could use, so they knew what the right kind of questions were to ask and what kinds of features need to be addressed. Among other things, it's pretty well known that data centers take up an awful lot of power, and they use an awful lot of water. There's also especially in Franklin and Washington counties, there's an abiding concern that there'll be an agricultural impact because of the draw on water and so on. So there'll be more to follow on that, but there is a hearing on the 28th of April, if you'd like to contribute to that. In Chambersburg, the Board of Health is reviewing fluoride policy. Now, this isn't really a health concern. It's more of a cost concern. It seems that their water treatment plant has a chemical feed system in it, which is what puts the fluoride and perhaps other chemicals into the water. Well, that system apparently needs to be either renovated or replaced. That's a very expensive proposition. So there was some discussion that the Chambersburg folks might just take a second look at whether or not they want to do fluoride. Fluoride is not a mandatory thing that one has to put in the water. It's an optional thing. And perhaps it's too expensive, perhaps it's not, perhaps there are other ways of doing that. But they are looking at that. Next up is the Conococheague Institute. Was surprised last Easter weekend, when they got a gift from the Tuscarora Longbeards chapter of the National Wild Turkey Federation. The Federation provided a custom trailer with 18th century equipment inside. The reason they did this was apparently the Conococheague Institute came and offered a demonstration, part of their outreach program, to show people what things were like in the 18th century. And as a result, the Tuscarora chapter took a look at that and saw just exactly how laborious that process of carrying individual items in and out of facilities was. So they gave them a custom trailer that has all that, where they can carry all that equipment with them. So very nice effort on the Tuscarora chapter's behalf. In Greencastle, there's a restaurant called Mrs. Gibble's along Route 11. It's just north of Greencastle. They are unfortunately going to be closing on the 26th of April. They have been around for about 50 years. It's a combination restaurant and candy shop. They actually have roots that go back to the 1920s, where the original Mrs. Gibble's was primarily a candy manufacturer, made all kinds of candy. Anyway, it's a community treasure, and the community responded by noting that there's a lot of sadness with seeing it go. In Hagerstown Community College, there are two events that are coming up. First is a student arts showcase on the 23rd, from the 23rd of April through the 1st of May. That's going to be taking place at the Kemper Center. And the second item is a spring dance recital by the English and Humanities Division. That'll be taking place Friday, the 1st of May, excuse me, at the Kuiper Theater. We're going to shift gears here a little bit and talk about police news. We were fortunate the last couple of weeks that there weren't a whole lot of things that to talk about with respect to police, but we got a bowl full this past week. In Chambersburg, you might recall last week we talked about a trench collapsing on the western end of Chambersburg, not far from Route 16. They finally named the individual who died as a result of that trench collapsing, Dalen Martin, who was apparently from Smithsburg. He died on scene on the 2nd of April. Authorities are still investigating to see just exactly what went wrong with that. I've heard some stories, but I'm not gonna muddy the water with speculation. In Waynesboro, a mother was charged with her own child's death. Amy Ruhlman was charged with endangering a minor. The police found a 4-year-old son who had passed away on the 7th of April. Ms. Ruhlman is being held on $1 million bail, and it appears from what we know so far that drug use may have been involved. So that's just really sad. Kids need better support from their parents. In Chambersburg, another pretty nasty one. Young man by the name of Jaron Nexi Reyes Perez was apprehended after a 1 April sexual assault. He's being charged with sexual felony rape, felony sexual assault with a child, and with incest. No bail is being offered in order to protect the people who are involved in this event. That's just horrible. And finally, in Chambersburg, there was a 5-vehicle crash on the 5th of April on Lincoln Highway East near the Dairy Queen. There were 10 people who were hurt. Multiple fire and rescue units arrived and provided support, including those from Fayetteville, Chambersburg, Montalto, and Marion. There are no details yet, but we're looking forward to hearing more about what caused that. You usually see 1 or 2 fender benders, but holy cow, 10 cars. That's pretty nasty. In People news, WellSpan President Roxana Gapster has announced that she is going to retire after 8 years as the president and CEO of WellSpan. She is going to continue working until her replacement is identified. At Wilson College, the chamber in Chambersburg, they've named Andrea Hoover Erbig as the new athletic director. She is moving here from Virginia Wesleyan. Pretty good school, actually. And last but not least, in People News, the Franklin County Career Tech took several awards at the PA Skills USA State Championship in Hershey recently. Brandon Lehman took top honors with both a scholarship, and he was named Student of the Year by the PA Skills USA Association. Very excellent work. Congratulations. And in health news, Meritus is expanding as the women's health specialists, as their women's health specialists are moving to Robinwood facility. They have a primary care is moving into the space that's being vacated by the women's health specialist people. And they are also moving gynecologists around. All of this is providing each of them with better and more facilities to provide services in the Hagerstown area. One other health note, I'll try to hit this fairly briefly. We also had an article about the kinds of diseases that are going around, and specifically Franklin County was the source, but you can probably guess that this also would apply to our coverage area in Washington County. What's going on is the familiar mix of respiratory viruses, stomach bugs, and allergies for this time of year. State and federal data show flu, COVID, and RSV are circulating in the area. They are watching, and they are recommending that people everywhere watch for ticks. This is a big season for them, and there are a lot of diseases that get passed on by certain kinds of ticks. They do mention, in a good note, measles is not an outbreak that they are following in the Franklin County area. It's still a health concern, but it doesn't rise to the level that it has in some other areas of the country where they're seriously concerned about how things have progressed this spring. So, in addition to all of that news, we also have local history every Tuesday, the writings of Dargan Boy on Thursdays, a lot of sports, soccer starting up, baseball is moving out, auto racing. We have crossword puzzles, theatrical activities, pet and animal care, and obituaries. We are very proud to be the news source for Verstandig Media. You can see all the local news on localnews1.org. So we are all local. We don't cover any national. And with that, I'm going to leave you with this week's Thought of the Day. A bit of advice from the world of science fiction. Never, ever try to teach a pig to sing. It wastes your time and it annoys the pig. Bada bing. Have a great week.
Let's talk TriState.
If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode of Let's Talk TriState, call 717-597-9200 or email letstalk@921thegoat.com.